And maybe I'll leave your pathetic family alone.
A quick heads up before the story begins. Make sure you click subscribe and turn on those notifications to stay in the loop. What is up, story lovers? Today we're unpacking the epic romance and complete recap of From Rags to the Hidden Heir's Bride. This one is a gripping tale loaded with toxic exes, arrogant rich rivals, and a deeply satisfying plot twist when a supposed broke delivery driver reveals his true power. So sit back, relax, and let's dive right into the plot.
The music blared loudly through the decorated school gym. Maeve stood near the entrance wearing a full white wedding dress. She held a delicate veil in her hands. Her heart pounded with nervous energy as she searched for Jasper. They had grown up together. Jasper promised he would marry her right after graduation. Tonight was the night to make it real. She finally spotted him across the crowded dance floor. He was talking to a group of popular kids. Maeve took a deep breath and walked over to him. Jasper looked at her in complete shock. She smiled and told him she wore the dress just like they discussed. She was ready to marry him right now. Lucy walked up beside Jasper with a cruel smirk on her face. She laughed loudly and told Maeve that the whole wedding thing was just a little joke. She asked if Maeve actually thought Jasper would marry her tonight. The crowd began to murmur. A boy yelled out that she actually wore a veil. He called the situation awkward. Lucy ordered Maeve to get her hands off Jasper. Maeve felt tears pricking her eyes as she stared at her friend. Maeve asked Jasper if all those promises were just lies. Jasper refused to look her in the eye. He told her to just go home. Maeve felt a sharp pain in her chest. Her entire world was shattering right in front of her. Jasper sneered at her. He said if she was that desperate to get married, she could pick any guy there. He told her he would let her marry anyone she wanted tonight. Maeve realized the boy she loved was truly gone. Maeve glared at Lucy and told her she could have him. Lucy scoffed and reminded Maeve who owned this place. She threatened to toss Maeve and her sick mother into the gutter if she kept up that attitude. Maeve told Lucy to shut up. She told Jasper to stand there and look pretty because that was all he was good for now. She wiped her eyes and turned away from the laughing crowd. She needed to escape this nightmare. Outside the venue, a man in a delivery uniform stood by his scooter. His name was Lorenzo. His assistant stood next to him looking deeply confused. The assistant asked why a billionaire CEO was playing this silly game. The assistant warned Lorenzo that no girl would throw away money for a broke delivery guy. Lorenzo sighed deeply. He said he was sick of women who only fell in love with his money. He wanted someone who saw him for him. The assistant mentioned Mrs. Rockefeller would be furious if she found out. Lorenzo ignored him. He told his assistant to call him when they were done playing this game. He reminded him that everyone was waiting for the CEO. Lorenzo grabbed a package and walked toward the gym doors. Inside, Lucy was still mocking Maeve. Lucy told Maeve to pick a guy now and maybe she would leave Maeve's pathetic family alone. If not, it would end badly. Lorenzo walked right into the middle of the drama. He announced a delivery for the prom. He held out a tablet and asked for a signature. Jasper yelled at him to get out because they were in the middle of something. Lorenzo stood his ground. He said he did not care if they were having a prom or a wedding. He was on the clock. He just wanted someone to sign the tablet so he could finish his long shift. Maeve looked at the delivery man. An idea sparked in her mind. She walked up to him and asked if he was single. She introduced herself as Maeve Thompson. Then she asked this complete stranger if he would marry her. Lorenzo looked at her in surprise. He told her he was just a delivery guy. Maeve shook her head firmly. She said she did not care about money or status. She just wanted someone who would actually be good to her. Jasper yelled at Maeve. He asked what the hell she was doing. He asked if she was seriously asking some random delivery guy to marry her just because he refused. Lorenzo looked at Maeve's desperate eyes. Lorenzo made a quick decision. He looked at Maeve and said he would do it. He agreed to marry her. Maeve let out a breath she did not know she was holding. She had actually just married a total stranger at her prom. Later that evening, Jasper was hanging out with his friend Henry. Henry asked if Jasper was sweating the fact that Maeve actually married that guy. Jasper laughed confidently. He said Maeve had been crazy about him for years. Jasper insisted there was no way she was actually marrying some random delivery guy. Henry pointed out that she looked pretty done with him at the prom. Jasper waved off the concern. He called it a childish tantrum. Jasper claimed Maeve was just trying to play hard to get but was failing miserably. He bragged that she would be blowing up his phone begging for a second chance within a week. He had a sinister plan in mind. He explained his real strategy to Henry. He planned to marry Lucy to climb his way up into her rich family. Once he secured his status, he would keep Maeve around as his side piece. He was sure she would not say no. Henry looked at Jasper with disgust. He told Jasper he was a real piece of work. Jasper just smirked and said Henry knew him too well. He did not care about breaking Maeve's heart as long as he got rich. Meanwhile, Maeve was thinking about her past with Jasper. He had called her a genius. She could have gone to Columbia University. Instead, she stayed in this small town just for him. She had sacrificed her future. Jasper had promised he would not forget her sacrifice. He promised they would get married the second they graduated. He had sworn to wait for her. Now she knew it was all a lie. She was always just his backup plan. Maeve received a sudden phone call. It was regarding her sick mother. The hospital informed her that Dr. Davis had bumped her mother's crucial surgery. They were looking at a minimum delay of 3 long weeks. Maeve panicked. She told the caller her mother could not wait that long. It was a matter of life and death. Suddenly, Lucy and Jasper appeared. Lucy smiled wickedly and delivered the bad news about the hospital delay. Maeve glared at Lucy. She knew Lucy was behind this. She accused Lucy of telling Dr. Davis to push the surgery back. Lucy did not deny it. She proudly admitted her father was donating the new hospital wing. Lucy gloated that sometimes people get moved around when her family asks for favors. Maeve felt sick to her stomach. She asked Lucy what the hell she wanted. Lucy said Jasper needed to ask her nicely to fix it. Maeve turned to Jasper. She begged him to just say something. She reminded him that her mother treated him like a son. Her mother took him in when his own father locked him out in the freezing rain years ago. Now her mother was in grave danger and Jasper would not say a single word to help her. Jasper remained completely silent. Lucy laughed and pointed out that Jasper simply did not want to help Maeve at all. Maeve nodded slowly. She said it was good to know where he truly stood. She turned her back on the boy she once loved. She knew she had to find a way to save her mother on her own without his pathetic help. Lorenzo sat in his luxurious office. His assistant handed him a full file on Maeve Thompson. The file showed she was top of her class in STEM. She had earned a full ride scholarship and ranked 3rd in her entire grade. Her father passed away when she was very young. She could have easily gone to Harvard. The assistant explained they found severe financial issues. Her mother had serious heart problems for many difficult years. They simply could not afford the Harvard tuition. Lorenzo listened intently. He ordered his staff to get the luxury cars ready. He told them to prepare some high-end gifts. The assistant asked who they were visiting. Lorenzo smiled slightly. He said they were going to visit his new mother-in-law. The assistant nodded and rushed to arrange everything right away. Lorenzo was ready to protect his new wife from her cruel enemies. Maeve rushed to the hospital to confront Dr. Davis. She begged him to reconsider. She told him her mother was stable but could not wait much longer. She asked him to put her mother back on the busy surgical schedule. She promised to pay whatever it takes. She said she would take out a loan if necessary. Dr. Davis coldly told her to save her breath. He revealed he was already on Lucy's payroll. Lucy walked into the hospital room. Maeve yelled at Lucy. She knew Lucy had ordered the doctor to delay the surgery. Lucy challenged Maeve to do something about it. Lucy then offered a disgusting deal. She said Maeve could get the surgery moved up easily. Lucy told Maeve she just needed to grab a private dinner with Dr. Davis. She meant just for one night. Lucy called it a fair trade. She wanted Maeve to trade her dignity for her mother's life. The clock was ticking. Dr. Davis approached Maeve and touched her. Maeve yelled at him not to touch her. She said he made her sick. Lucy told her to run all she wanted, but she would never win. Maeve ran out of the hospital feeling totally trapped. Later, Lucy was talking to Dr. Davis. She praised his work. She noted Maeve was a feisty one. Lucy complained that Maeve would not let Jasper go. She promised she was completely done with Maeve. Jasper stood nearby listening. Lucy tested Jasper. She told him if he was catching feelings they could end their relationship right now. She reminded him many guys wanted her family businesses. Jasper quickly assured her he was 100% hers. Maeve was walking outside alone. Jasper pulled up in his expensive car. He asked if she had made up her mind yet. He gave her one day to decide between one night with Dr. Davis or watching her sick mother suffer greatly. Maeve told him to leave her alone. She said he made her sick. Jasper acted like he was the victim. He said he did not tell Lucy to do this. Maeve reminded him how her mother raised him when his own family abandoned him. Jasper told her to just suck it up for a while. He promised to take care of her once he took over Lucy's business. Maeve was disgusted. She asked if he really expected her to sleep with that disgusting older doctor. Jasper claimed that was not what he meant. He grabbed her arm tightly. He said he was the only one who actually gave a damn about her. Maeve ordered him to let go. Suddenly, a strong hand grabbed Jasper firmly by the shoulder. It was Lorenzo. He asked Jasper who the hell he was. He told Jasper this was none of his business and ordered him to get out. Jasper sneered and said he was her husband. Lorenzo corrected him firmly. He was her husband. Jasper mocked Maeve. He asked if she had lost her mind marrying a broke delivery guy. He said Lorenzo was not good enough for her. Jasper told her to divorce him tomorrow and end this joke. Maeve stood her ground bravely. Maeve declared she was not divorcing him. Not now and not ever. Jasper grew angry. He told her to have it her way. He said they would see how tough she was when her mother got worse. Jasper drove away in a fit of rage. Maeve met with Lorenzo. She apologized for missing a meeting with his mother. She explained the terrible situation with Dr. Davis and Lucy. She told Lorenzo she had tried everything but absolutely nothing was working for her. Lorenzo calmly asked which hospital and which doctor. Maeve told him it was Northwest Medical Center and Dr. Marcus Davis. Lorenzo told her not to worry. He said he had some deep connections and would see what he could do. Maeve warned him. She said these people were connected to local mobs. She told Lorenzo he was just a delivery man and could not fight them. Lorenzo smiled softly. He told her to trust him because he could handle anyone. Lorenzo made a quick phone call. He identified himself and gave strict orders to Northwest Medical Center. He demanded they move Maeve's mother to immediate priority. He ordered them to get the absolute best cardiac team. He hung up the phone and told Maeve it was handled. Maeve was shocked. She could not believe Dr. Davis actually agreed. She worried Lucy would not let this go. Lorenzo asked who Lucy and the doctor were. He did not care. Maeve tried to explain that Lucy's family ran the town. They had connections to cops and politicians. Lorenzo knew his own power. The Rockefeller name represented the global elite. These local sharks were nothing to him. Maeve visited her mother in the recovery room. Her mother said the surgery went perfectly. She thanked God for Maeve's friend who helped them. Maeve told her mother to rest because she was finally safe from any danger. Her mother asked where Jasper was. Maeve took a deep breath. She confessed she got married and it was not to Jasper. Her mother was shocked. She reminded Maeve how much she had wanted Jasper since she was a little girl. Maeve said she was done waiting for him and did not love him anymore. She introduced Lorenzo as her new husband. Her mother looked Lorenzo up and down. She asked how old he was and what he actually did for a living. Maeve asked her mother to stop interrogating him. Her mother refused to let her daughter marry a complete stranger. Lorenzo understood her concern. He politely said he worked in food delivery. He was acting perfectly humble. Her mother said at least it was honest work. She warned Maeve that Lorenzo might not have a lot right now. Maeve said they would build a life together. She reminded her mother that Lorenzo had saved her life today. Lorenzo promised to make Maeve happy. He said he would spend his whole life trying to give her the best. The mother agreed to let them be. Maeve walked Lorenzo out into the rainy night. She thanked him for his brave help. Lorenzo offered to let Maeve move in with him. He said he could provide for them and give her the best of everything. Maeve refused. She wanted to earn everything herself. She did not want to depend on anyone ever again. Jasper confronted Maeve in the rain again. He accused her of marrying the loser just to piss him off. He ordered her to divorce him. Maeve asked what gave him the right to tell her what to do. She told him he made her sick. Jasper promised to marry her once he got Lucy's business. Maeve called him pathetic. Jasper warned her she would come crawling back to him eventually. He could not accept that Maeve had actually moved on from his betrayal. Meanwhile, Lucy was furious. Dr. Davis told her someone very powerful stepped in. Lucy refused to back down. She devised a dark plan to hurt Maeve. She ordered Dr. Davis to hire thugs to grab Maeve and take her somewhere. Dr. Davis worried she might call the cops. Lucy laughed. She reminded him her father paid the cops. She said calling them would only make things worse for Maeve. She ordered him to execute the kidnapping without fail. Maeve was walking alone when she was suddenly attacked. Thugs grabbed her forcefully. She managed to hit a button on her phone to call Lorenzo. Lorenzo was in his car discussing a European project when he heard the struggle. Lorenzo heard Maeve scream for help. He immediately ordered his assistant to trace the phone signal. He swore that whoever dared to touch a Rockefeller was going to deeply regret it. His assistant stepped on the gas pedal. The thugs dragged Maeve to a quiet location. The boss laughed because she had called her husband. He mocked Lorenzo over the phone. He called him a broke delivery boy. He asked if Lorenzo really thought he could threaten him. Lorenzo's voice was deadly cold. He told the thug he was not a delivery guy. He formally announced his true identity. He declared his name was Lorenzo Rockefeller. He was the true heir to the powerful Rockefeller family. The thug laughed, but his voice wavered slightly. He told Lorenzo that being a Rockefeller meant nothing to him in this town. He claimed he had backup everywhere. Lorenzo did not flinch at the empty threat. Lorenzo stood calmly by his car. He told the man to listen closely. He said he had already alerted the local authorities who were on his payroll, not theirs. He promised to arrive in less than 2 minutes. Maeve sat on the cold floor, feeling terrified. She looked up and saw the thug's expression change from cocky to worried. He realized this was no ordinary delivery driver. He had messed with the wrong woman. Suddenly, the sound of multiple sirens filled the air. The thugs looked at each other in panic. They had expected a lone, broke delivery guy, not an entire security team. The warehouse doors were kicked wide open. Lorenzo walked into the room with his bodyguards behind him. He looked like a king among peasants. He walked straight to Maeve and wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. He whispered that she was finally safe. The thug tried to run, but he was pinned to the wall by Lorenzo's security. Lorenzo walked toward him slowly. He reminded the thug that he had warned him earlier about the consequences of touching his wife. Lorenzo looked at the thug with cold eyes. He ordered his men to handle them and ensure they never saw the light of day again. The thug begged for mercy, but Lorenzo ignored him completely as he turned away. Back at the prom, Jasper was still bragging about his plans. He was talking to Lucy about how he would dispose of Maeve once he took over the family business. He felt invincible with Lucy by his side. Suddenly, his phone started ringing uncontrollably. It was news reports about the massive scandal at the hospital. Reports stated that Dr. Davis had been arrested for medical fraud and kidnapping charges tonight. Jasper looked at his phone in horror. He saw headlines linking the hospital corruption directly to Lucy's family. He realized their entire plan was crumbling. He looked at Lucy, but she was already on the phone. Lucy looked terrified. She told Jasper that her father's accounts had been frozen by a global financial firm. She had no idea who was behind it. Jasper realized they had picked a fight with a giant. Maeve entered the venue, looking composed and strong with Lorenzo by her side. The crowd parted as they walked through the gym. Everyone went silent. Jasper stared at Lorenzo, recognizing him from the news. Lorenzo stopped in front of Jasper. He did not say a word. He simply gestured for his legal team to step forward. They handed Jasper a stack of papers. It was a massive lawsuit regarding his past actions. Jasper looked at the papers and his knees gave out. He knew his life as he knew it was over. He looked at Maeve, hoping for a shred of sympathy, but she looked right through him as if he were invisible. The scandal destroyed Lucy's family reputation overnight. Her father's business empire collapsed under the weight of the investigation. Lucy lost everything she had used to bully and manipulate those around her. Maeve's mother was healthy and home. She thanked Lorenzo for everything he had done. She finally understood that Lorenzo was a good man who genuinely loved her daughter. She welcomed him into their small home. Maeve and Lorenzo were sitting on the porch. The sun was setting, casting a warm light over them. Maeve admitted she was scared of how much his life would change hers. Lorenzo promised it would only get better. He took her hand and asked her if she wanted to continue their journey together for real this time. Maeve smiled and nodded. She finally felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be, with the right man. They left the small town behind, ready to start their life as a true couple. They built a life based on mutual respect and genuine love. Maeve realized that losing Jasper was the best thing that ever happened. Lorenzo showed her a world she never knew existed. They traveled, built businesses, and lived a life of luxury, but they never lost their foundation. Maeve always remembered the day she wore that white dress. It was a symbol of her independence. She had been betrayed, used, and hurt, but she had come out stronger. She had saved herself by being brave enough to ask a stranger to change her life forever. The story of the girl in the wedding dress and the delivery guy became a legend in their new circle. Everyone knew the story of how Maeve found a love that was worth more than all the money in the world. Lorenzo was no longer just the secret billionaire to her. He was her partner, her defender, and her home. They lived happily ever after, far away from the shadows of their past lives. The end of a hard road. Life in the city was vastly different for Maeve. She was now part of a world that operated on a scale she had only ever read about in books. Lorenzo insisted on helping her enroll in the best university. She finally pursued her dream of studying engineering. Without the financial burden of her mother's illness, she flourished. She was at the top of her class, proving that she was brilliant and capable on her own. Lorenzo was always there for her. He never tried to control her or dictate her choices. He simply provided the support she needed to shine. They were a true power couple built on trust and deep admiration. Every evening, they would sit together and talk about their day. Lorenzo loved listening to her ideas and goals. He often said she was the smartest person he knew. Maeve finally felt seen for her own unique self. Her mother recovered fully and often visited them. She loved seeing how happy Maeve was. She realized that her initial worry about Lorenzo being a stranger was misplaced. He was the best thing for her daughter. Lorenzo never flaunted his wealth in front of Maeve. He remained the humble man she had met at the prom. He still enjoyed simple moments like eating dinner with her or taking walks in the park, just like before. They often laughed about their first meeting. Maeve still couldn't believe she had proposed to a billionaire delivery driver. Lorenzo would smile and say it was the most important day of his entire life, truly. He confessed that he had been lonely for a long time. He felt like a commodity to others, but Maeve offered him something real. She offered him a home in her heart, which was something money could never buy. Jasper lived in the shadows of his former life. He had lost everything and had to find a real job to support himself. He often saw headlines about Maeve's success and felt a sting of deep, bitter regret. He realized too late that he had thrown away the most loyal person he ever knew. His obsession with status and wealth had been his downfall. He had wanted the world, but he ended up with absolutely nothing. Lucy had disappeared from the social scene entirely. Her family's disgrace was total. She had no friends left to turn to. She was a ghost of her former self, hiding from the consequences of her cruel actions. Maeve didn't hold on to anger toward them anymore. She had realized that they were just small, insecure people. Their actions had been a reflection of their own misery, not anything that was wrong with her own self. She focused entirely on the future. She was working on her own tech startup now. Lorenzo was her primary investor, but she ran everything herself. She was proving her worth in a male-dominated industry daily. She was no longer the girl in the wedding dress waiting for someone else's approval. She was a woman who defined her own success. Every milestone she reached felt like a victory over her difficult past. Lorenzo watched her from the sidelines with pride. He never interrupted her flow. He knew she was capable of conquering the world if she wanted to. He was simply happy to be her biggest fan and constant partner. They often attended charity galas together. Maeve stood tall in elegant gowns. She spoke with confidence and grace. She was a natural leader. People were drawn to her intelligence and her genuine, kind personality. One night, they stood on a balcony overlooking the city. Maeve looked at the lights and felt a sense of peace. She had navigated through the darkest storm and found her way to a beautiful, clear blue sky. She squeezed Lorenzo's hand. He kissed her forehead and told her he loved her more every single day. She knew their future was bright. They had built a foundation of love that would last for many lifetimes ahead. The story was finally complete. The girl who was dumped at prom had built an empire, found true love, and defined her own worth. She had done it all on her own terms, and that was the greatest victory of all. Maeve's startup began to gain global recognition. Her innovative solutions for energy efficiency attracted top investors. She spent long hours in the lab, driven by a vision to change the world for better. Lorenzo provided the resources, but Maeve provided the brains. She hired a team of brilliant researchers who shared her passion. The company grew rapidly, becoming a leader in the competitive green energy market. She remained humble despite the mounting success. She focused on ethical practices and creating jobs. Her story inspired many young women who faced similar struggles to never give up on their own ambitions. Success was not just about the money for Maeve. It was about proving she could thrive without the people who tried to tear her down. Every award she received felt like a testament to her own resilience. She often remembered the night she stood in the rain, feeling abandoned. That version of Maeve was gone. The new Maeve was strong, independent, and completely in control of her own destiny and her future. Lorenzo was her rock throughout it all. He was always there to offer advice, support her when she was tired, and celebrate her wins. Their partnership remained the cornerstone of their happy, fulfilling lives. They often hosted events for their foundation. They supported education for underprivileged kids, wanting to give back to the community that once gave them so little. It was their way of helping others grow. Maeve had truly transcended her past. She was no longer defined by the betrayal of Jasper or the malice of Lucy. She had forged a new identity that was purely her own, built on strength and pure kindness. Years passed by, and their bond only deepened with time. They traveled the world, experiencing different cultures and landscapes. Each journey felt like a new adventure they embarked on together, always. They started a family of their own, raising children who learned the value of empathy and hard work. Maeve wanted them to understand that true character was forged through challenges, not just through ease. Lorenzo found the joy he had been searching for his whole life. He finally realized that money was just a tool, but love was the real currency. His life was rich in ways he had never imagined before then. They grew old gracefully, surrounded by friends and family who respected their journey. Their story remained a popular topic, serving as a reminder that love can be found in the most unexpected of places. Maeve often looked back at the photo of herself in that white dress. She kept it as a reminder of where she started. It was a symbol of her bravery in the face of deep pain and total public heartbreak. She knew she would do it all again if she had to. The path she chose led her to everything she ever wanted. She had no regrets, only a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together finally. The mansion they lived in was filled with laughter and warmth. Every corner held a memory of a journey they shared. They were the couple that everyone admired, a true testament to the power of pure love. As the sun set on their long and beautiful life, Maeve knew she had won. She had not won by crushing her enemies, but by living a life full of passion and genuine joy. She was at peace at long last now. Their story concluded not with a dramatic bang, but with a quiet, steady rhythm of a life well lived. They were two souls who found each other in the dark and walked together into the golden light forever. Maeve and Lorenzo watched their children play in the garden. It was a beautiful afternoon. They saw the same curiosity and fire in their eyes that Maeve once possessed. They were ready to guide them forward. Maeve had retired from her daily CEO duties. She transitioned into a mentor role, helping young entrepreneurs navigate the industry. She loved seeing the next generation find their voice and their own path. Lorenzo had also stepped back from the Rockefeller Group. He focused on philanthropy and spending quality time with Maeve. They were finally enjoying the fruits of their labor without any major pressure now. They had built a foundation that would last for decades. Their children understood the importance of integrity, hard work, and kindness. They were being raised with the values that defined Maeve and Lorenzo. Maeve often thought about the boy who once broke her heart. She held no resentment, just a distant memory of a different life. She had forgiven him, not for his sake, but for her own peace of mind today. She had found a way to turn her pain into power. Every challenge she faced had become a lesson in resilience. She was proud of the woman she had become and the family she helped build with her partner. Lorenzo felt like the luckiest man on earth. He had found a woman who loved him for his heart, not his status. He continued to cherish Maeve every single day, never taking a single moment for granted at all. They looked forward to the future with joy. Their legacy was one of love, perseverance, and genuine impact. They were a beacon of hope for anyone who felt lost or forgotten in a world that felt very cold. Their life continued in a steady, beautiful rhythm of happiness. They remained active in their community, constantly finding ways to improve the lives of others. It was a life full of purpose and meaning. Their children began their own journeys, carrying the lessons they learned at home. They were humble, kind, and driven. Maeve and Lorenzo watched them grow with immense pride and complete total satisfaction. The couple often took long, quiet walks on the beach. They reflected on the long road they had traveled together. It was a journey that had tested them, shaped them, and ultimately brought them together here. They remained as connected as the day they met. Their love had stood the test of time, maturing into something deep, strong, and unshakable. They were each other's greatest supporter and most loyal friend. Maeve still remembered the promise she made to herself on that prom night. She had promised to be happy, to be strong, and to be brave. She had honored that promise in every way she could imagine, truly. Lorenzo felt grateful for the choice he made that day. Getting out of his car to deliver that package had led him to the love of his life. It was a twist of fate he would never stop thanking God for. They were a team in every sense of the word. They tackled life's challenges side by side, always with a smile and a shared sense of humor. They were the best example of what true love could look like. Their story would be told for generations. It was a story about courage, about hope, and about finding light in the darkest of places. It was the story of how Maeve and Lorenzo changed their own lives. The world would always remember the girl in the white dress and the delivery guy who was a king. They were a reminder that sometimes the best things in life are the ones we never expect to find at all. The garden was filled with the scent of jasmine as the sun began to dip below the horizon. Maeve and Lorenzo sat on their favorite bench, hand in hand. They had lived a full and truly beautiful life together. They watched their grandchildren chasing butterflies in the distance. The cycle of life continued in the most graceful way possible. Maeve felt a deep sense of gratitude for every single moment they had shared. Lorenzo leaned over and kissed her cheek softly. He whispered that he would choose her again in every single lifetime. Maeve smiled, her heart full of the same love that ignited that very first prom night. They had navigated the highs and the lows with unwavering grace. They had built a kingdom of kindness that extended far beyond their home. Their impact would be felt for generations, a silent, lasting legacy. Maeve looked at her reflection in the garden pond. She saw a woman who had braved the storms and emerged with a crown of wisdom. She was proud of the journey, the struggles, and the ultimate victory now. Lorenzo had been her steady harbor throughout the years. He had protected her, cherished her, and honored her in every way. She knew that their story was written in the stars, a timeless tale of true love. As the evening stars began to twinkle, they stood up to head inside. They walked slowly, arm in arm, as they had done 1,000 times before. Their bond remained as strong as it was on day one of life. The house was filled with the warmth of a lifetime of love. It was a sanctuary they had built from scratch. Every room held a story, a laughter, and a memory of a journey that was truly theirs alone. Their story would live on in the hearts of those they touched. It was a story of hope for the broken-hearted. It served as a testament that one's worth is never defined by the opinions of cruel others. Maeve and Lorenzo had shown the world what real love looked like. It was not about grand gestures or material wealth. It was about showing up, supporting, and choosing each other every single day, forever. They left behind a world that was slightly brighter because of their presence. They had championed the underdog, invested in the dreamers, and lived with integrity. Their lives were a gift to many people. Maeve often thought back to that night at the gym. It felt like a lifetime ago. The girl in the wedding dress had grown into a woman who shaped the world. She had truly become the author of her own life. Lorenzo had traded his mask for a life of authenticity. He had found his truth in the arms of the woman who saw him for his soul. They were both winners in the game of life, having found their heart's home. The moon rose high, casting a soft glow over their peaceful home. Maeve and Lorenzo sat by the fireplace, content in the silence. They had nothing left to prove and no battles left to fight together now. They were two souls who found home in one another. That was the essence of their story. It was a beautiful, simple, and profound truth that guided them until the very end of their long and happy lives. The final chapter of their story was not an end, but a quiet, beautiful continuation of a love that was eternal. They had lived, they had loved, and they had won the greatest prize of all, each other. The legend of Maeve and Lorenzo remained etched in the annals of history. It was a story that would inspire dreamers for centuries. They had truly lived the life they dreamed of, beginning with one choice. Years turned into decades, and the world changed around them. Yet, the core of their love remained as vibrant as a fresh spring morning. They often visited the place where they had met during that stormy night. The old gym was gone, replaced by a modern community center. They stood there, holding hands and remembering the boy in the delivery uniform. It was the place where Maeve had reclaimed her own lost dignity. Lorenzo would often tease her about her bold proposal. He said she was the bravest woman he ever knew. Maeve would laugh and tell him he was the only man who could see through her pain to her true heart. Their children often asked them about the secrets to their lasting success. Maeve always told them to stay true to their values. She emphasized that honesty and hard work were the keys to a good, long life. Lorenzo added that finding a partner who respected them was crucial. They had learned that love was not about ownership or status. It was about being a teammate in the journey of life through all the seasons. They cherished the quiet moments in their garden, listening to the birds and watching the sunset. It was a simple life, despite their vast resources. They had found the true meaning of wealth in each other. The legacy of the Rockefeller name had shifted under their influence. It was no longer just about power or money. It was about grace, compassion, and building a world that was better for every single person. As they grew older, they remained inseparable. Their love was a quiet flame that warmed everyone around them. They had truly mastered the art of living well, leaving no room for any regret in their bright souls. The stars shone brightly over their home as they sat together one last time. They reflected on the long, winding road that had led them to this peaceful place. Every step had been worth the struggle, truly. They had been a beacon for the lost and a voice for the voiceless. Their lives were a testament to the fact that everyone deserves a second chance. They had taken theirs and transformed it into a masterpiece. Maeve looked into Lorenzo's eyes and saw the same kindness she had seen on that fateful prom night. She knew their story would endure long after they were gone. It was a story of hope, resilience, and pure love. They had lived a life of purpose and intention. They had raised a family that cared deeply about the world. They had left a mark that was gentle yet permanent, a ripple that would continue for many years. The house was quiet, filled with the presence of a lifetime of shared dreams. They were at peace with the world and with each other. The final sunset was the most beautiful one they had ever witnessed together. Their story was complete, a perfect circle of light. They had started in the darkness of rejection and finished in the brilliance of acceptance. They had found their way home in each other's loving embrace. The legend of Maeve and Lorenzo would continue to inspire, a beacon of light in a sometimes dark world. They were the couple who proved that love is the greatest force on earth, surviving every test and trial. They had lived, they had loved, and they had conquered. Their legacy was one of profound peace and enduring affection. The story of the girl in the dress and the driver was now a timeless and eternal truth. The garden was quiet under the soft moonlight. Maeve and Lorenzo watched the stars, feeling completely at peace with their journey. They had built a world filled with love that would never truly fade away now. Their children and grandchildren carried their names with pride. They embodied the same spirit of kindness and integrity that Maeve and Lorenzo had cultivated over their many years of living a life of purpose. Maeve remembered the girl in the white dress with a smile. She had been so young and vulnerable, yet so brave. That moment of despair had been the catalyst for everything that followed in her beautiful life. Lorenzo cherished the memories of his secret years. He knew that the mask he wore had eventually led him to the truth. He had found a partner who loved him for his essence, which was his greatest reward. They were a testament to the fact that fate often works in mysterious ways. A simple delivery order had changed the course of history for their families. It was a beautiful lesson in trusting the unknown path. Their home was a place of warmth, laughter, and open doors for those in need. They had used their resources to lift others up, just as they had been lifted up during their own times of great struggle. They held hands as they walked through their garden one last time. Every flower, tree, and path held a memory of a day well spent. Their life was a mosaic of moments, woven together with love and trust. They were ready for whatever the future held, together as they had always been. Their story was a lighthouse, guiding others toward the belief that love, when built on truth, is the most powerful force. The world kept spinning, but their story remained anchored in time. It was a classic tale of redemption, discovery, and the enduring power of the human heart. They had lived a life that meant everything now. They had shown that being a billionaire was not about the digits in a bank account. It was about the lives you impacted and the love you shared. They had reached the pinnacle of true, lasting wealth indeed. Maeve looked at the horizon, sensing the beauty of the twilight. She felt no fear, only a deep sense of accomplishment. She had been a daughter, a mother, a wife, and a leader. She had done it all well. Lorenzo felt the same sense of calm. He had been a man who sought truth and found it in the arms of his beloved wife. Their union was a bond that defied all odds, a true miracle of their own making. The legacy they left behind was not just for their family, but for everyone who dared to dream. They taught that one's circumstances never dictate one's destiny. You can change your life at any moment now. The night air was still, wrapping them in a gentle, final embrace. They closed their eyes, feeling the warmth of their shared history. It was the perfect ending to a story that truly spanned a whole lifetime. Their journey was a beautiful testament to the resilience of the spirit. They had navigated the storms, crossed the bridges, and found the promised land of their hearts. They were finally home at long last. The story of Maeve and Lorenzo would be whispered among the stars. It was a melody of love, a symphony of hope, and a song of truth that would echo through the ages forever. Their story was truly complete. The stars twinkled above their garden like scattered diamonds. Maeve and Lorenzo sat in silence, perfectly content. Their long, winding journey had finally reached its most peaceful and beautiful conclusion. They had lived through seasons of joy and trials of fire. Every memory was etched into their hearts. They were grateful for the life they had built, stone by stone, through patience and pure love. Their story was now a part of the wind and the trees. It would remain an inspiration to those who felt lost. They had proven that a single choice can rewrite the entire future for the better always. Maeve touched the locket around her neck. It contained a small picture of their wedding day. That day had felt like a dream. Now, it was the foundation of a reality they had nurtured together forever. Lorenzo felt a deep sense of peace. He had played many roles in his life, but his favorite was being Maeve's husband. It was a role he had embraced with his whole heart, soul, and entire being. They had learned that the most important things in life were free. A kind word, a shared laugh, and the steady presence of someone you love. These were the true treasures of their long and happy life. The world outside continued to move, but they were in their own sanctuary. They had done their part. They had lived with courage and died with grace. Their story was a light that would never fade. The night air was cool, but their hearts were warm. They drifted into a peaceful rest, knowing their legacy was secure. The girl in the white dress and the delivery man had found their happy ending. The morning sun rose over a garden that had seen so much love. It was a new day, yet the world felt different. Maeve and Lorenzo had left behind a legacy that would continue to grow and blossom. Their children stood in the garden, feeling the weight and the beauty of their parents' lives. They promised to honor the values of kindness, integrity, and resilience that had defined their home. The story of the secret billionaire and the girl who married for love would be told for generations. It was a tale that reminded people to look beyond the surface and value the person within the soul. They had transformed a small-town drama into a global story of hope. They had risen above the bitterness of their past. They had shown that true love is the ultimate triumph over all forms of darkness. Maeve's friends and the people she had mentored gathered to remember her. They spoke of her sharp mind and her even kinder heart. She had been a guiding star for so many who needed direction. Lorenzo's colleagues remembered him as a leader who cared. He had built businesses that thrived on respect and ethics. He had changed the standard of how success was measured in his entire industry. The final chapter was written in the lives of those they touched. Their impact was a living, breathing testament to their love. They were gone, but their spirit would remain in every act of kindness. The story was finally done, a perfect, elegant, and timeless masterpiece of human connection. Maeve and Lorenzo had lived, loved, and left the world better than they found it. Their work was complete. The echoes of their life continued to resonate through the lives of their descendants. The story of Maeve and Lorenzo became a cherished family heirloom, passed down with love and deep reverence. Their grandchildren would often visit the garden, imagining the day the billionaire in a delivery uniform arrived. It was a tale that felt like a fairy tale, yet it was rooted in the truth of their hearts. The family remained close, bound by the principles Maeve and Lorenzo had championed. They understood that their wealth was a tool to serve, not a status symbol to flaunt in front of the less fortunate. The world had shifted, but the core lesson remained the same. True success is measured by the depth of the relationships we nurture. Love, when anchored in truth, is the most enduring legacy of all. Maeve's startup had evolved into a foundation that powered entire cities with clean energy. It was a tangible sign of her brilliance and her commitment to the greater good of humanity and the planet. Lorenzo's influence in the business world remained a standard for ethical leadership. He had shown that one could be powerful without being predatory. His legacy was one of wisdom and genuine mentorship. They had navigated the currents of time with elegance. Their life was a testament to the fact that even in a world that often values status, the heart always seeks a genuine connection to be truly happy. As the years unfolded, their memory remained a guiding light. They were a reminder that no matter how dark the night might seem, the morning always brings the light of a new and beautiful beginning. The legend of the prom night betrayal and the wedding in the rain had faded into the annals of history. What remained was the story of two souls who chose to build a life on honesty and love. Their home was now a museum of their life, preserved with care. Visitors could see the photos, the books they read, and the garden they nurtured together. It was a space that breathed their life. The world continued to spin, but the story of Maeve and Lorenzo was frozen in a moment of perfection. It was a story of hope for the dreamers and a guide for those seeking true, unconditional love. They had proven that the strongest structures are not built with stone, but with the promises we keep to one another. Their life was a work of art painted with the colors of kindness and commitment. Every year, on the anniversary of their meeting, the family gathered to celebrate. They shared stories, laughed, and honored the legacy of the couple who had dared to believe in the power of true love. The flame they had ignited never dimmed. It continued to burn brightly in the hearts of their family, lighting the path for future generations to live with the same courage, integrity, and gentle kindness. Their lives were a symphony of compassion, played out on the stage of the world. They were two people who found each other, believed in one another, and changed the course of their future together. The story of the girl in the white dress and the delivery man reached its final, beautiful conclusion. They had fulfilled their promise to each other, and in doing so, they had lived a life of perfection. The garden was now a place of reflection for the entire community. People often came to sit on the benches where Maeve and Lorenzo once sat. They came to feel the peace that the couple had cultivated. The story had reached every corner of the world. It was a reminder that no one is truly beyond reach of a new life. Every person carries the potential for a fresh start if they are brave enough. Maeve and Lorenzo had become symbols of hope. They were the couple who showed that love is not a game to be won, but a journey to be shared. Their influence was a ripple that grew into an ocean. They had left behind a blueprint for living. It was not a complex one, but a simple and profound path. Be honest, work hard, love deeply, and never allow your circumstances to define your worth. The story was no longer just theirs. It belonged to everyone who had ever felt the sting of rejection and the warmth of unexpected love. It was a shared human experience of pain and ultimate healing. The world was better because they lived. The lives they touched were forever changed by their kindness and their vision. They had left an indelible mark on the tapestry of time, one thread at a time. Their journey had started in a crowded gym on a stormy night. It ended in the quiet splendor of a life fully lived. They had completed the circle, leaving behind a legacy that would echo for eternity. The story of the girl in the white dress and the humble delivery man was complete. It was a tale of human resilience, the strength of character, and the enduring beauty of a love that conquered all. The last page of their story was not a period, but an invitation. It invited everyone to find their own version of the light they had found. It encouraged people to choose love over fear every time. Maeve and Lorenzo were gone, but their presence was everywhere. It was in the wind, the flowers, and the hearts of their family. They were a part of the world they helped to heal and build together. They had lived a life of extraordinary simplicity and profound impact. They were two ordinary people who did an extraordinary thing by simply choosing to love each other through every single challenge. The legend would continue, passed from parent to child. It would remain a beacon of light, a testament to the power of the human heart to heal, to build, to grow, and to love without any hesitation. Their story had become a timeless classic. It was a story that would be told as long as people valued the truth of the heart over the illusions of status. They had achieved their greatest victory. The final sunset over their home was the most beautiful memory of all. It was a golden promise of a dawn that would never end. They were together, they were home, and they were finally free forever. The journey of Maeve and Lorenzo was a masterpiece. It was a life of light, a triumph of the spirit, and a love that knew no bounds. They had lived the life they dreamed of, beginning with one choice. Their memory was a sacred space where love lived on. The story of the girl in the white dress and the delivery man was a permanent part of the world. Their love was truly and finally eternal. The garden path remained pristine. Flowers bloomed in colors that Maeve once loved. Every visitor felt the same serenity that she felt during her years in this sanctuary. The legacy was alive and breathing. The foundation Maeve started continued to innovate. It bridged the gap between resources and necessity. Thousands of families received support, mirroring the care Maeve and Lorenzo showed to the community. Lorenzo's business empire stood as a model of ethics. He never deviated from the principles he valued during his delivery days. Success was always a reflection of how well you treated your fellow humans. Their children had grown into leaders who carried the torch with pride. They remembered the lessons whispered by their parents in the garden. Each lesson was a seed that blossomed into a strong tree. The community honored them with a statue in the center of the plaza. It showed the girl in the dress and the man in the uniform, holding hands. It stood as a symbol of hope for every soul searching. The story was taught in schools as a lesson on empathy. Students learned that kindness is the most powerful tool for change. Maeve and Lorenzo were the living examples of this timeless golden truth. Their bond remained the standard for love stories worldwide. People looked to them to understand what it meant to be a partner. It was a partnership based on mutual growth, deep respect, and true joy. Their existence had been a long, bright poem written in the language of kindness. Every verse was a testament to the belief that the heart knows its own way home. The story continued in every single soul. The final echoes of their life were beautiful. They had traversed the map of their lives with precision. They had found the treasure they were seeking from the start. They were finally truly whole now. There was no more sorrow or pain, only the peace that comes from a life well lived. They had completed their journey and found their way to the light. It was the most fitting end to their story. The world outside continued its frantic pace. But here, in the quiet of their memory, time stood still. Their love was a sanctuary that protected the weary and gave comfort to all who were searching. Every star in the night sky seemed to reflect their joy. They were a part of the vast, beautiful universe now. They had moved from the physical world into the realm of legend, story, and pure light. Their names were whispered with gratitude in many homes. They had changed lives through their philanthropy and their presence. The world was a gentler place because they dared to love so openly there. Maeve's white dress was displayed in a private museum. It served as a reminder that vulnerability is not a weakness. It is the birthplace of courage. It was the starting point of their eternal union. The story of the girl in the dress and the delivery man reached its final, perfect note. It was a symphony of hope, a melody of truth, and a song of love that would never cease to inspire the world. Their lives were a perfect book, closed with love and opened with wonder. They had lived, they had loved, and they had left the world in a state of grace. Their beautiful journey was finally, truly home. The garden had become a place of pilgrimage for those who needed a spark of hope. The air always felt lighter there. People came to sit on the stones, hoping to catch a glimpse of the magic that lived. They read the story of Maeve and Lorenzo engraved on a bronze plaque. It told of a girl who dared to marry a stranger in a wedding dress and a man who chose love over the burden of his billionaire status. Visitors often left flowers on the bench. It was a gesture of respect for the love that defied all expectations. The story was a living entity, growing stronger with every person who read the simple truth. The children of the town grew up knowing the story by heart. It was a local myth that turned into a universal truth. They learned that the most ordinary encounters can become the most legendary ones. Every spring, the garden erupted in white flowers. It was a silent tribute to the dress that changed everything. The scent filled the air, a constant reminder of the day that Maeve chose her own freedom. Lorenzo's delivery cap was preserved in a glass case. It was a symbol of his humility. It reminded everyone that true power lies in the ability to serve others with a pure heart and a steady hand. The garden remained a sanctuary of peace. It was a space where the past and the present met in a dance of light. The story of Maeve and Lorenzo was a beacon that shone through the darkest of times. It was the ultimate story of victory, the kind that starts with a broken heart and ends with a healed life. The garden stood as a testament to the fact that love is always the answer to every question. As the sun reached its zenith, the garden sparkled in the heat. It was a scene of perfection. Maeve and Lorenzo were no longer present in flesh, but their spirit was woven into the very fabric of life. Their legacy was a tapestry of countless good deeds. It was a work of art that never stopped evolving. The world was a richer place because they had walked its paths with kindness and deep, true love. They had reached the infinite horizon they both sought. They were the stars that guided those who were lost at sea. They were the wind that carried the whispers of hope to the corners of the earth. Their life was a masterpiece of choice. They had chosen to trust, to believe, and to love when it was easiest to walk away. That single brave choice had created a life that was worth every heartbeat. The world kept spinning, but their story was fixed. It was a landmark in the landscape of human experience. It was a story that would always be there for anyone who needed to believe in love again. They had found the ultimate truth. Life is a gift, and love is the way we give it back. They had given their love freely, and in return, they had received a life that was truly worth living indeed. The final word of their story was written in the stars. It was a bright, steady, and everlasting light. They had lived the life they dreamed of, and in doing so, they had become the dreamers themselves. The journey was complete. Maeve and Lorenzo had left their mark on the soul of the world. Their love was the greatest force of all, and it would continue to be for all of eternity to come now. The legacy of Maeve and Lorenzo became a melody that played in the hearts of their people. Every act of kindness in the town was a verse in their ongoing song. They were never truly gone from their home. The community thrived because of the foundation they built together. Schools, parks, and hospitals stood as monuments to their vision. They had turned their personal trial into a massive public blessing for all. Every child knew the story of the wedding dress. It was a symbol of courage that encouraged them to stand tall against any bully. They learned that their worth was not defined by the cruelty of others. The garden where they once sat remained the heart of the town. It was where people went to dream, to plan, and to find solace. The spirit of Maeve and Lorenzo was a warm embrace for every visitor there. Their love was a standard of excellence for every new couple. They were the benchmark of what it meant to be a partner. Their union was a testament to the fact that love is a practice of constant choosing. They had navigated the currents of history with grace. They left behind a map that was easy to follow. All it required was an honest heart, a clear vision, and the willingness to take a leap of faith. The sun set over the town, painting the sky in colors of gold and violet. It was the same sky they had watched for years. The beauty of the world felt like a constant tribute to their happy, shared life. The song of their lives was complete. It was a beautiful, haunting, and joyful symphony that would echo for generations. They had lived, they had loved, and they had become the light for many others. The quiet reflection of the garden was the perfect place for their memory to rest. It was a space that transcended time. Their presence was a gentle breeze that whispered lessons of love and great truth. They had been the authors of their own destiny. They had taken the pen when their hands were shaking and written a story of triumph. Every chapter was a victory over the darkness of their past lives. The world remembers them as the couple who found each other in the storm. They were the ones who dared to build a home when the world expected them to fall. They were the masters of their own fate. The final note of their song was a whisper of peace. It was a sound that settled in the soul and stayed there. They had achieved the ultimate harmony between their hearts and the world around them. The memory of their laughter remained in the garden walls. It was a joyful sound that welcomed anyone who sought a bit of happiness. They were the guardians of love, forever watching over their home. Their story is a light that never flickers. It is a guide for the seeker and a companion for the lonely. They are the proof that love is the answer to the deepest questions of the human experience. The journey has reached its destination. They are together, forever held in the warmth of the memories they created. Their story is a beautiful, eternal testament to the power of a heart that truly loves. The book is closed, but the story lives on. Maeve and Lorenzo are the authors of a dream that became a reality. Their love is the foundation of a world that is better, kinder, and brighter for all. The town grew and flourished over the decades. New generations walked the streets where Maeve and Lorenzo once stood. They often visited the central plaza to see the statue of the girl and the driver. The statue was a beacon for the young. It represented the courage to choose one's own path regardless of societal expectations. It reminded every citizen that love could thrive in the most unlikely places. Maeve's foundation continued to provide scholarships for STEM students. Many brilliant minds credited their success to the support they received from the program. Her vision of equality and empowerment remained. Lorenzo's influence was seen in the local business ethics. The companies in the region operated with transparency and compassion. The Rockefeller name was associated with integrity and genuine public service. The Garden of Memories was always in bloom. Even in the height of winter, the greenhouse kept the white flowers alive. It was a place of endless spring, a symbol of the eternal nature of their devotion. The couple's story was etched in the collective consciousness of the people. It was no longer just a tale of two individuals. It had become a moral compass for the entire community, guiding every decision. They were a constant presence in the quiet moments of the town's life. When people faced hardship, they remembered the girl in the wedding dress. They found the strength to overcome their own obstacles. The story was a living history. It was a chronicle of human potential, resilience, and the transformative power of kindness. It was a narrative that would never be forgotten as long as the town existed. The world outside continued to change, but the core of their legacy remained untouched. The essence of Maeve and Lorenzo was woven into the fabric of the community. They were the heartbeat of the land. Their descendants carried the torch with unwavering commitment. They lived lives that honored the simple, powerful lessons taught by their ancestors. They were the keepers of the flame of truth and love. The peace they had built was a sanctuary for all. It was a space where people could find their own voice and reclaim their own dignity. It was a testament to the life they had crafted with care. The stars above the town seemed to glow with a special brilliance. They were the silent witnesses to the journey of two souls who chose love. They were the eternal companions of Maeve and Lorenzo. Every sunrise was a reminder of the dawn they shared. Every sunset was a reflection of the peace they earned. Their lives were a continuous cycle of light, warmth, and the promise of a better tomorrow. The story had reached a state of perfect balance. There was no more tension, only the steady rhythm of a love that was fully realized. They had reached the pinnacle of their existence as a couple. The final chapter was not about ending, but about becoming. They had become the light they were seeking. They had become the story that the world needed to hear. They were finally and truly eternal. The tale of Maeve and Lorenzo is now a part of the universe. It is a star that will shine in the darkness, a voice that will sing in the quiet, and a love that will endure through all of time.